Can you explain the Munchkin thing that you were telling me about the other night?
The spiritual journey is one on the way to Messiah, but the opposite of Messiah is the Munchkin. So all the things we think about, the heroic hero stands up for truth and justice and the less fortunate, is the reverse of that, is the Munchkin, the small-minded person who gets offended by things, when anybody has...
Daily Mail readers. Well, traditionally...
No, they exist in all things. They exist in the left more than the right. The left are always more offended than the right are.
That's true, more right.
Someone can make some offhand remark and you get all these kind of self-appointed political correctness police coming down like a ton of bricks. But what they don't do, of course, they don't condemn usury, for example, or say to people you have to pay your mortgage, which is a practical way forward. There's a very good lesson here spiritually. The spiritual man concerns himself with where harm is done to a human being. He's not interested in matters of taste, which is what offence is. It's simply a matter of taste. You can choose not to be offended by something. An offence is a form of tyranny because it stops program makers making programs freely and fairly. It stops dramatists writing about things they want to write about. So those people have no place in either a democratic or spiritual society. The problem is a lot of people are scared to tell them where to go. I'm not. I work for God and I will tell them they're Munchkins because that's the thing they need to hear on their spiritual journey at the moment. When people attack me on spiritual forums, my response has always been, you need to get out more, mate.
I think what happens is when you do start to get this personal relationship, either with God or with an undefined spirit. Maybe you could define spiritual, actually. Can you define it?
It's interesting you say then with God or an undefined spirit. It's an interesting, because I've got to say that the spiritual journey is about piercing two veils, if you know your Kabbalah, basically. The piercing of the first veil is simply to understand there is something beyond these four dimensions. The three dimensions of space and then time. And obviously once you've pierced that first veil, it's then a journey. Now anybody who's pierced the second veil will tell you that journey will lead you to the loving God from which all comes and which all will be directed and everything. Obviously you haven't got there yet. You'll be saying, well, it's some kind of spirit or it's some kind of this and that. There is a difference though between soul and spirit we have to bear in mind. We live in not just an upper and lower world, it's split into four basically. We live in our world, which is only a temporary world. That's why we die in a fleshly form. The true immortal world, of course, is the world of the soul or the gods. In that world, the most prominent soul or god is called Jesus, and that's a system known as henotheism, where one god is very prominent, as opposed to monotheism, where there's only one god, or polytheism, where there's more gods. In fact, you look at all creeds on the planet we have at the moment, they're all polytheistic. The Hebrew Bible has different gods in it. We've obscured that by giving just the name God. But it's very clear from that Bible there's more than one God. Why does he say, thou shalt worship no other gods before me? He's giving you a clue there, because otherwise you just say, there's no point worshiping other gods, I'm the only one. And then above the world of the souls, there is the world of spirit, the world of the Holy Spirit, which is love, and then beyond that is the world of the disincarnate God, God without form, who has always existed and always will exist, because he exists outside the concept of time.
Okay.
If you understand that concept?
Some people, I wonder whether some people listen to this, that you might have lost them slightly there.
This is all quantum mechanics, by the way.
Okay.
The latest program I saw, obviously I'm not a physicist, but the latest program I saw, like Horizon, about quantum mechanics, had some funny ideas that I can already knew from Kabbalah, and that's how I got this journey in the first place.
Okay.
And what they were saying essentially is now physicists understand that space and time are conditions of the universe, and the universe is not a condition of space-time. That's about as close as you can get to a science program saying there is a God.
Okay.
And also, in quantum mechanics, they have to deal with the problem of nothing. If you've got a single atom that explodes, that is all the energy of the universe, which I would say is God in everything, where does that atom come from? Now, scientists have no explanation for that. They've come at the moment with three different states of nothing. Now, in Kabbalah, you already have the concept of three different states of nothing. They've known it for 6,000 years or longer. And that's how I first got into this journey, was the commonality of quantum mechanics and Kabbalah, basically. I read Stephen Hawking, and this is a great example where the spirit or God will take you on a journey. As I was going through this awakening, I saw the text I needed to see. So at one point I pick up the brief history of time, don't get a lot out of it, but get some certain core concepts of creation. The next book I read is my book about Kabbalah, and the same core concepts are there. It might be different vocabulary, they might talk about the flash of Zion rather than the Big Bang, but they're exactly the same concepts. Same with the 10 consciousness on the tree of life, one not attached. Talks about 10, 11 consciousness in the universe, and the 1% realm, 99% darkness of Kabbalah is the 1 to 5% observable universe, the rest is dark matter and quantum mechanics.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, as we discussed before, the conscious mind is such a small proportion, and visible light is such a small proportion.
Well, these things
There's this huge thing going on.
That idea of the 1 and the 99%, you know.
They do, yeah.
It's like the amount of DNA we understand, the amount of the brain we understand. I mean, they always say it's 5-10%, but it's not. It's about 1%.
It's very interesting how all those things correlate. Yeah, I think it's really about 0.1%. Would you say something like that? I think.
I would go with the Kabbalah 1% light and 99% darkness. I'll take that.
Oh, okay. Or occupies 1% and 99%. Just briefly, one more time on 9/11 Truth. Have we passed a point where it's still relevant? I went to a play recently about Building 7 that you were in, written by Peter Neathie. Is that his name?
Yeah.
Peter Neathie? Yeah. I took some leaflets and with a friend of mine went around London trying to engage people. We had varying success. We found some open-minded people who weren't opposed to it, but they weren't necessarily thinking about doing anything about it. Is there any way to go with that, or is it becoming too long ago, even 12 years?
No, I think while we have troops in Afghanistan, it's still a relevant issue.
Yeah, it is.
It is beyond that, of course. Because there's a relevance in truth. You know, all these people that will come at some argument that was too long ago. No, you've still got a duty to establish that truth. And I would make a parallel here with the Zinoviev letter. In the 1920s, there was a forged letter from the head of the Comintern, supposedly to the Labour Party in Britain, a forgery in which MI6 and the Daily Mail had a hand. And of course this started to come out, this was a forgery shortly after, but it was all banned due to official secrecy. But in 1999, due to the 75-year rule, this came out, yes, MI6 had a role in leaking this forged letter. Now, that was very useful information to my grandfather, but not particularly useful to me. And we can't let the same thing happen with these wars, that, you know, in 2075 somebody comes out and says, well, there was a massive inside job because we're too far down the line. But so we've got to insist on that truth now. But to me, 9/11 is God's gift. If people in the society living at the moment cannot expose that as an inside job, and they don't deserve to live in a free society. And I tell them time and time again. You know, I'm very happy to do the 9/11 stuff. I feel very easy with 9/11. It's my area of expertise. When I first joined, I was able to say, you know, where are the air crash investigations, where are the forensic reports, and things that would be obvious to me, but just weren't there, basically.
And you made a documentary. What's the name of it? 9/11.
9/11: The British Broadcasting Conspiracy.
Oh, that's it, yeah.
A response to the BBC's Conspiracy Files.
That's right.
And after that, they did indeed make the Building 7 Conspiracy Files, which included all our evidence. Unfortunately, they came to the conclusion at the end that said the fires brought down the buildings, even though earlier on in the programme they said that couldn't happen. So anybody who was watching that,
I think I've seen that, but I can't remember it very well.
But anybody who's listening to this thing should, or anybody who watched that should say that the BBC did us a favour there. People on the inside were clearly letting everybody know there was something up. They couldn't come to the conclusion that Building 7 came down a different way, because that programme would never have got out there. It's almost like in the old days of the Soviet Union, you've got to be clever to beat the censor. So again, all the Munchkins said, oh, the BBC, you better get it. And no, they didn't. The BBC presented the evidence to a public audience, and if the bloody people at 9/11 Truth made any fucking sense, they would have actually exploited that, but they didn't, because they're a bunch of Munchkins. History has been a story of genuine leaders, and to me there's no more idea more dangerous than our current conception of democracy. Because only a certain set of people have that vision and leadership quality. And that informal leadership is very important. Anybody will tell you if you go camping or anything like that, you need someone who's going to organise it, basically. And a lot of people are very happy to be led like that. However, at the moment, though, is false leadership. People who are elected or appointed or whatever. That's not natural leadership. And again, the left has been more instrumental in bringing that in than the right, with their so-called visions of democracy and everything else. You know?
Do you think the Russell Brand-Paxman interview was significant? Not necessarily information, but the fact that it went out in the mainstream.
Anyway, but I mean, again, it's just something. Why haven't they got me on Newsnight?
Yeah.
You know, why haven't they got me on Newsnight saying everybody out there you now have to pay your mortgage? I'll show you the research. You have to pay your mortgage. Again, it's a sop. It's a sop. I've written to Russell Brand because obviously he had his latest tour was called the
Messiah Complex.
Yeah. So I wrote to him about that. Saying,
have you watched it?
I haven't seen it. No.
I've seen it on YouTube. I didn't actually go and see it. It's quite interesting. He's trying to put good information in with all the crowd pleasing stuff. Basically, it's not bad.
I'd say I applaud people who do that. And the very fact he's done something on Newsnight stirs things up a bit. It's a bit like Alex Jones on Andrew Neil. It stirs things up a bit and gets a bit of interest, you know.
I'm not sure Alex Jones did the Truth Move any favours with that. And Piers Morgan as well.
People say people are put off, and some people are put off indeed, but then again, those are the kind of, I would say, the Munchkin people, you know, that actually anybody who's wise will understand that they're trying to provoke Alex Jones. Anybody who's wise will think, well, I've got to listen to the information this guy's bringing, the analysis he's bringing, not for his demeanour. And that's my job here, is to teach wisdom. I will not back down in front of Munchkins at all, basically. And I've pulled them up several times. You know, all these people attack me. Oh, you know, you signed the official secret. You've got a lifelong duty of confidentiality. You broke it. You're a traitor. So I turn around and say, if your kids were killed in an attack funded by MI6, would you want to know that or not? Well, of course you would. And I said, well, why do you want to deny that to Libyans? And I say that's a very simple application of the do as you would be done by principle, from which all morality comes, basically.